Strong looks different for each of us, and it's time to put focus on our unique journeys that get us there. This space, created weekly, is for athletes to improve their mindset in order to better navigate challenges that come up in sport and in different seasons of life. On this show, we ask the questions that lead to better answers and have the conversations that truly matter. This is the Becoming Your Strong podcast. Hey, you guys, welcome back to another week of the podcast. Oh, today is going so much better than when we chatted last week. My life felt like it was just turning upside down with the amount of chaos that there was going on. And after just a week of intentional focus and also finding time to rest and take care of myself, because I not only deserve it, but I know that I need it. We're firing on all cylinders today and things are going much better. So I'm very excited to chat with you, especially in regards to the topic of today. But before I jump into what it is we're going to really touch on, let's go ahead and do the Becoming Your Strong shout out of the week, the moment of the week. I'm going to shout out my client that I personally train 3 times a week at Pursuit Fitness, and his name is Lee. I don't think Lee listens to this podcast, which is totally okay. But I wanted to shout him out because I am just so proud of him as someone who has very similar goals to what I had when I first started my weight loss journey. Just the positivity that this man shows up with and the willingness and openness to just learn and trust the process. Like, it's one of the easiest clients and one of the most, I don't want to say one of the most fun, but it's just been one of the coolest experiences with clients that I've been able to have. And here's the thing, you guys, is he's not only having this kind of positivity, trust within the process, openness to learning when things are going well, because it's easy for that to be the case. What really makes him strong is the ability to show up and hold the commitment that he has to himself and to me to show up when it's inconvenient and when it's really freaking hard, when he's either really sore or he's got a lot going on at work. He works in the medical field and he works overnights and has a schedule that's all over the place. Like, nothing by any stretch is convenient. And so that is one reason out of several that I wanted to shout him out. The other thing is that now that he's starting to really enjoy the process, he's really just excited about coming and believes in what he's doing, and he's seeing results. Like, he's 7 pounds down, he's gained over 1 pound of muscle, he's down 3% body fat. Like, within the last 6 weeks we've been working together. It's insane, guys, insane. Not only has he just found his groove within this training process, but what I really love about him is that he's bringing other people along for the ride. His daughter is doing this alongside him, and now he's trying to bring his wife along for the ride. And wife actually came to the session. I was like, just come join us for one session. And she had so much fun, and he was just so prideful of everything that he's learned and how strong that he's getting and just the overall experience. And this is why what I really want to highlight, you guys, is we could do this alone. And we could probably get, again, pretty far, but that's not the point. And that's also not the joy in life, in my perspective. He is not only going to go far and reach his potential because he's choosing to take other people along on the ride with him, but he's also going to create an insane amount of impact. And that is what I ultimately wanted to do with my life, you guys, is after I changed it, I didn't want to just hold all these nuggets to myself. I wanted to take everything that I was learning and I wanted to share it with other people in hopes that it got into the right hearts, into the right ears. And that's what I do every single week on this podcast, right? And you have the same choice, the same opportunity. You are showing up every single week for yourself, whether you give yourself the credit or not, you are. And all of these things that you're doing, they are going to be so impactful if you choose to tell your story and share those with other people, right? That's all I did. I just started sharing stories and what was on my heart, and now it's turned into several hundred people listening a week, and it's so much fun, and it makes my life so great. And that's what I really think that becoming your strong means, is not just keeping all the goodies to yourself, but being able to give that outwardly, to share that outwardly and create impact. So I'm going to get off my first soapbox and let's just go to the next one because this rolls so perfectly into what it is that I wanted to talk about today. So over this last week, the reason why I feel like I'm firing on all cylinders, especially today, is because I have changed some things up. I've tweaked some things in my life, and I feel like I'm just so trusting and believing in the process and where I'm going. And so what I wanted to do this week is I not only wanted to talk about what I've changed and what's working for me right now that's getting me to feel this way, to have this much energy and excitement, but what's also working for my clients. Because it's one thing if it works for you, it's another thing if you can replicate the process and it's showing, it's like the proof is in the pudding, right? It's showing that it's replicable. So this week's podcast is all about what's working for me and my clients. So I actually want to start off with my clients and just all the success that they're seeing, because it just blows my mind, right? And what they're seeing is giving me even more excitement and more trust in what it is that I'm doing. So I'm hoping you're able to take a couple of really great nuggets away from today to apply it to your training, to your overall life, whatever it is that you're hoping to really move the needle on. So the first thing is last week I had one of my clients that I used to train with out at Trailwinds before I moved up to Longmont. And I still train her. I do some online training and whatnot, but I had been working with her, I think about 2 years at Trailwinds, and I'd see her twice a week with her husband. And she reached out to me particularly about just frustration. Like, she's been doing this for a while now and she feels like she's not seeing the results. She's not losing the weight. Life is really stressful right now. Like, there's just a ton of different things that are going on. And she's just like, I've gone to nutritionists, I've gone to a doctor, and her recent visit to the doctor is what really kind of sparked this conversation. But she just feels frustrated and at a loss of like how she could actually start seeing the results from the work that she is putting in. And so I told her like what I'm seeing that's really working for my clients at Pursuit. And at Pursuit, we really do take a different approach. Like, I am quite literally blown away with how much not only the trainers care about their individual clients, but how they care about everyone's clients. Like, everyone is there to literally rise and lift everyone up. And we always say that we're the gym that people go to when they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, when they've tried all the options and they're finally ready to get results. And I'm not shocked because, again, the process that we do and what it is that we focus on, it truly matters. But here's the thing, you guys, just because it's like we're getting these insane results, it does not mean that we're having these people doing hours and hours and hours of training and not eating anything. Like, it's the exact opposite of what diet culture and what like fitness culture would think. And I want to share what a couple of those things are with you that's really working for people. And it's not rocket science. It's really not rocket science. And so I messaged her back. I was like, here are the things that I'm having people focus on, and it's working very, very well. The first thing is your steps throughout your day, right? How many steps are you getting? A lot of us have some sort of desk job or just some sort of stagnant lifestyle because of just the way, like society is now. A lot of us work on computers and phones and technology. And so a lot of us might be sitting, right? And so if you're not getting in those steps, think about it, way back in the day when we were roaming the world, we were getting thousands and thousands of steps a day because that's how we survived. That's how we hunted. That's just how we lived. And so now things look a lot different, but it worked really well back then and it works really well now. And so ideally we're getting anywhere from 7 to 10,000 steps minimum per day. And if you're barely even getting the 3 to 4 to 5, don't freak out. It's okay. All you have to go from here is up. If you're really struggling to get 3, try to get 3.5. If you're really struggling to get 4, try and get 4.5, right? Like, just whatever that looks like, start creating these little tick marks of little goals to shoot for to move the needle closer and closer to that over 10,000 step goal. And you'll even feel the difference in your energy too, totally, because you're moving so much more throughout the day. So that's the first thing that I told her. It's not rocket science, and that's something you don't need any fancy equipment for. You just need your legs and literally either a walking pad or going outside. The other thing is eating enough quality food. Notice how I said the word enough. We are not eating enough. And if we are eating enough, if we're eating too much, we're not eating enough of the right foods. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything that's right versus wrong, but if it comes out of a package and it has 1.5 million ingredients that you can't read, and a lot of it has preservatives and processed stuff in it, that's not necessarily quality, right? Things from the produce section, right? The greens, the vegetables, the fruits, all of those things, right? That's what we're talking about when we talk about quality. So that's actually one shift that I've made recently is, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later, but there's been some struggles within, the last couple of, I would say the last year for me, around just feeling like bloated and like blah. And it's because of the foods that I was putting into my body because I needed to put certain macros into my body to train. And so, like I said, I'm going to explain all of that later, but I realized as well, I was not eating enough food. And a lot of people are not eating enough food. And when they start working with our nutritionists, they're realizing, wow, this is a lot more food than I thought I should be eating. And I feel like I can't fit it all in. Like, it is crazy how many people are holding on to extra weight because they're just not eating enough. So that's the second thing. The third thing is 4 days of strength training. And I just say 4 because that's what we've been having some of our people do. But anywhere from like 3 to 4 days of strength training. And if you are not even doing one, start with one, right? You can't just go from 0 to 100 really quick, but just doing a good couple of quality sessions of strength training, you guys, that is where the bang for your buck is. The doctor was actually telling her that she needs to be doing a lot more cardio. And while I understand, because that has been what people have known, because it burns more calories and what people have thought, research these days are showing things different. And it's not to say that you shouldn't be doing cardio. I do cardio almost every single day, but I also pair it with a strength training session because I know how important having muscle mass on my body is to having a high metabolism is. And when you have a higher metabolism, you're becoming a fat burning machine. You're burning more calories, right? So I'm not going to again go into the science behind all of that, but strength training, if you only have 2 days a week to work out, you're going to get the most bang for your buck if you can get some strength training in there, okay? The last thing that I told her is recovery. And when I say recovery, I'm going to put a couple of things in this bucket. Managing your stress levels and sleep, like giving yourself intentional time to rest. Those are the things that I'm asking for you to focus on in your recovery. Managing stress, you guys, stress can really alter things going on in your body. Your nervous system, just how things are functioning, it could be the reason why you're holding on to weight. So if you're not taking the time to do that personal growth work or just give yourself a second to freaking breathe, it's time to start doing that. Yeah. Give yourself some time to do some breathing exercises, yoga, actually get better at going to bed at a decent time and waking up at more consistent times. Like consistency in your sleep when you're going to bed and when you're waking up has shown huge effects in overall health. So those are the things, and I know that I went a little bit longer on that than I probably should have, but those are the things that are incredibly simple that you can start working and focusing on one by one if you have this goal to really go on a weight loss journey, okay, and really start to see some differences within your body composition. So that's one thing, or I guess a couple of things that are working for my clients that I'm training, just general population, right? Looking to get stronger, lose some weight, etc. Now, in regards to my clients that I'm training specifically for DECA and them wanting to see progress in terms of how they're doing on the actual race course, this stuff gets really exciting for me. So one of my newest clients that I train, she's from the UK, Lucy. Hi, I hope you're listening, which I know you probably are because you said that you've been listening every week. So hello. She has been kicking some major butt, like major butt. I've just been so excited, like watching behind the scenes. And one of the things that she told me when we did our first call together, she's like, I just really struggle to go there, to go to that place, like turn on the switch and fight. And I get that, sister, because as of last week, if you listened to the episode last week, I've struggled to do the same thing. And I would recommend, if you feel like you are struggling with that, not just Lucy, but anyone listening, I would go back and listen to that episode if you haven't already, because I talk about those things. I talk about getting yourself to do those hard things that you don't want to do, not just in training, but just in life in general. So anyways, she's just been talking about how she's been really wanting to go to that place and wanting to push. And as of recently, she feels like she can't flip that switch. Well, last night she did a Hyrox relay out in Houston, and she was finally able to go to that place. And so this morning she was reflecting, and she messaged me just some of her thoughts on things and how excited she was and just thankful that she's trusting the process and that she got a coach in the first place, etc. But I wanted to follow up particularly with my thoughts on the whole thing. And my thoughts in regard to this, that's kind of a extension of the conversation that we had last week, is I told her, if we constantly go to the well in our training, to that place where we feel like we just have to push and give everything that we have, then we're not going to actually have availability to give that when it's most important, when it's time to actually race and show ourselves what we've been working towards. So all of that to say, you guys, don't go there every single day in your training. Save it for when it actually matters. Now, there are going to be times where you're at the end of a training session and you're going to want to go there. You're going to want to push a little bit more. Do it, right? Give yourself the luxury of actually doing that, like one more rep, or maybe a little bit faster on the ski erg or the row erg or on the bike, right? For those last few seconds, that go one more mentality. That can be totally healthy if you're managing it in the right way. What's not healthy and what's going to burn us out is this: I have to give it 120% every single time that I show up, to the point where I feel depleted. And if I don't do that, then it was a wasted training session. That is not true. That is not the case. And if you live and you function that way, you're going to burn yourself out. So if you really want to see yourself hit some PRs, I highly recommend that you don't go to that place every single day. You wait to go there and you save it up. You charge the battery. You put all the trust and the confidence, right? You're building that every single training session, but you save that firecracker moment for when it actually matters. And then you don't have to sit there and be upset with yourself that you didn't go to that place when it mattered. You actually have it in the tank to go there and do it. And you can walk away being like, I literally gave every single thing that I had. And I feel really happy about that, regardless of the outcome. And that leads me into the next thing. And this is more importantly, like what I've have changed within myself, is just how I've approached my workouts. I mentioned this last week of what worked really well for me in my breakout year last year was just the fact that I approached each workout with this mindset of gaining data, of just collecting data. And that's worked for me for a really long time. And if you haven't tried that and that works for you, stay with that, because it's a really, really helpful thing. Now I've gained a lot of data, and there's still some things to learn. Don't get me wrong. Like, I still have my curiosity and my learner's cap on all the time, but that mindset doesn't always work for me. And so I've been thinking like, okay, what needs to shift? What needs to change? And I was like, I just need to chill the hell out. That's just what I need to do. I just need to do things in zone 2 and just work on the technique, work on my breathing, work on just getting more volume in, more reps in, quality reps in. And that's going to be more than enough. And I started doing that last week with that mindset. And I have never felt better, you guys, in my training before. Like, I was not nearly as trashed in my body. So that means I was able to train for longer. I was able to get in more training sessions, and I was able to do so still at quality, and walked away feeling super confident and just not like thrown around and mentally defeated. And that alone, you guys, like, people will tell you, if you again, going back to going to the well, if you go there every day and you're trash, that only takes you out of the game for how long it is until you can start to train quality again. I was able to have a very high quality training session almost every single day last week because I didn't go to that place. And that didn't make me any less of an athlete. That doesn't mean that I wasn't working hard enough. It means I was working smarter. And I just felt really good about that. And so again, it's just this idea of I'm going to attack each of these efforts in that rate of perceived exertion of around 4 to 5, maybe 6 at most. I'll give myself the luxury of like going one more rep, just a little bit of like fire and spiciness at the end. But there's not this pressure to like put up the best time or lift the heaviest. Like it's just do the best you can with what you have, and just to focus on not giving absolutely everything you got. Like just do the best for you today. And that's more than enough. And like I said, I've just felt really, really good and really confident in what I've been doing. And so then I trickled that down also to asking my girls today, my other girls that I train here for DECA, of what's been working for them. And they gave me like a plethora of answers, of like certain workouts, certain exercises, like things that's really connecting for them. But overall, like the general gist of what I got from them is it's the non-sexy, kind of boring stuff. It's the spending long periods of times just on the ergs and just going again at that like zone 2, easy to moderate effort where they feel like they're working, but they're not going to they're not going to overdo it. Just long sessions of that. And just enjoying their lifting and enjoying the workouts for what they are and not putting this pressure on themselves. And that comes from doing these like not very sexy, overly like programmed type of workouts. They're not doing anything super special besides just staying consistent to the few things, to the fundamentals that really make a difference. And so this is an opportunity for you to reflect, and I'm sure that there's a decent amount of you that are following some sort of programming, or if you're not, maybe you're doing your own programming, is don't try and recreate or reinvent the process. Don't try and sit there and put in all of these different components thinking that you need to hit a bunch of different things throughout the week. Like, just staying consistent to the needle movers that you feel super confident in. Oh my gosh. Not only physically will you see a difference, but mentally, you're going to see a huge difference in your confidence and your trust within yourself, within your training. And I'll tell you what, that's what matters. At the end of the day, that's probably the biggest thing that matters when it comes to you stepping up to that starting line. If you feel confident in what you've done up until that point, where you can just say, all I need to do is just show up and let it rip today because I'm so confident in all the work that I put in, that is the magic. That is like the pixie dust to your freaking race right there. So doing those things in the training is going to help. It all makes sense, right? So just again, don't feel like you have to do all the things. Don't feel like you have to do all of these crazy all over the board workouts. I don't even know how to explain it, but I've just seen people's training sessions and it's like, it's just a lot. Like, just go back to the simple fundamentals and get really, really, really good at those. Kobe Bryant talked about that a lot, of how he just got really good at doing the simple things. And those simple things became the building blocks for him to do the great things. The last thing that I want to talk about as far as what's been working for me is I personally reached out and I got some help. And every time that I do this, every time that I put my ego and my pride aside and I reach out for help, it always works very well and definitely in my favor. And so I go in and out of these phases because of just some of the things that I had to overcome during my journey to where I'm at now, specifically looking back towards the weight loss side of it, where body image issues and relationship with food concerns are a very real thing. And it's not because I'm not aware of them. I'm very clearly aware of them. It's just because it's really hard to take several years of a habit and put that to rest in a short amount of time. And so I'm still dealing with those effects these days of worrying about, what I'm eating and if I'm going to gain weight. And if I gain weight, will people still take me seriously as a trainer? And Will I start to become unattractive to my boyfriend? And just like all of the things, right? Like, am I failing? Am I no longer worthy? My days of being at my heaviest, when I was quite literally the least confident, I felt unloved, I felt excluded from everything. I was just in that dark pit of my life. Like, I associated a lot of really, really bad things to that. And one of them is my weight, right? And so anytime I think about gaining weight, it kind of sends me like PTSD back to those moments that I never want to go to. And so anyways, I reached out to my BFF, AJ, who was just on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And he has a nutrition background, and he also has a history in losing weight just like I have. And so I just told him about like these things that I'm feeling, such as, I know that I have to fuel my body in a very specific way for hybrid racing. We have to really prioritize carbs and quick sugars because of the type of workouts that we're doing. And that, unfortunately, might come with a lot of processed type of foods that don't really jive with the system. And I've been feeling bloated. I've had like energy swings from here and there. I'm not necessarily happy with, like some of the weight gain that I've had around my midsection. Some clothes just still aren't fitting. Like, I just kind of told him all over the place between like body image issues and like feeling like I'm not eating enough, but also like trying to get past this like feeling of not starving myself too. Because again, when I first started losing weight, I started off doing it the unhealthy way where I did starve myself. And so I built some really bad relationship with food habits there. So I was very open and vulnerable with him about that. And he totally understood, and he was right there with me. And he was like, I want to help you in this. Like, let's get you on a plan and let's get you focusing on some targets again. So that way you can put this to rest and just start working on the things that you need to be working on. And I have felt so good this last week after doing some tracking and switching up my diet just a little bit to go less from focusing on, all these like quick sugars from like honey stingers and these bars and just a lot of things that come out of packages, a lot of supplements, right? Like, I still utilize those, but I've really tried to lean into like natural sugars and things that are coming from fruits and just getting the fuel that I need for like my workouts, both pre and post workout, like just through different avenues, like more whole foods. And my body just feels so much better. It's insane. And I can tell a difference within my workout too, because I'm actually eating enough. I'm feeling like I could actually give a little more, go the extra distance that I've wanted to go. But I couldn't do that before because I wasn't giving my body that extra fuel. And so I just didn't have anything in the tank. But also on the flip side of that, while it's been going well and I've been feeling really good, it's also been really freaking hard to track things again, because all of these suppressed feelings with my relationship with food and how I've looked for the last couple of years, they're coming up. And that's what tracking food does. It like puts you back into that like restrictive mindset, because when I tracked food, that's when I was very restrictive. And I have to shake that, right? I have to remember that like tracking food does not mean restrictive, that I can't eat. It just means that I have a budget and I need to make sure that I'm spending that budget every single day. Not a lack of, but I have so much to spend. Let's go out there and spend it. And so now again, all of these things are coming up with my body image and my relationship with food. And I'm having to deal with the root cause of it all. And that, you guys, is a gift. And that is ultimately why I wanted to bring this up, is because this isn't a call to like start tracking your food and to start hiring nutrition coaches. This is a call to focus on those things that are like hidden in the closet that you need to finally pull out and deal with those emotions so that you can move on and become a better human and live life with a lot more joy and a lot more peace. And by doing this, again, what I was hoping to get out of this was to feel better and to have a better understanding of what to do and to, again, work on these issues with relationship with food and body image. What I'm getting out of it is that finally, like, working on those demons of, like, I'm not enough. And those demons that are telling me that I will never be enough, that I'm not worthy. And it's really good. It's really hard, but it's working for me. And I'm finally getting to do that even after I've been 75 pounds, or I did my 75 pound down journey in 2018, 2019. Like, it's been that long already. I'm finally getting to do that. And while it's hard, it's very empowering. And I'm excited to be there. And I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where it's going to take me, but I'm just, again, very happy that I'm here. And I'm very proud of myself for stepping into discomfort and vulnerability, and just how powerful of outcomes those two things, those two habits that I built to myself are bringing, what just those outcomes that they're bringing to my life. So this is where I want to leave you today, is you will never be able to find what works for you by constantly chasing what works for other people. You must first start with listening to yourself, your core needs, and most importantly, practicing self-love. When you genuinely feel like you have your own back and you know what's most important to you, the right next steps will unfold. I promise you that. Trust that you know yourself better than anyone else, and trust the process that lies ahead. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today, and I hope that this podcast truly resonated. If it did, please be sure to share this with the people that need to hear it most. And if you haven't already, rate and review the podcast so that this continues to get into the ears of the right people. Thank you guys again for always giving me the space for this incredible journey that we're on together, and I will be excited to see you guys and talk to you more next week on the next episode of Becoming Your Strong. See you then.